Prince Handley coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure healing love. I want to talk to you today about how to protect yourself from stress. In a previous teaching 3 years ago, I taught on healing from stress. In that teaching, I showed you how to be healed, how to be delivered from stress. In this teaching, I want to teach you how to prevent stress from operating in your life. Instead of fixing the situation, I want to teach you some areas of preventive maintenance to avoid stress in your life. After I received the mikveh of Ruach HaKodesh, the baptism in the Holy Spirit, I did lots of research on fasting and health. I noticed that in the Scandinavian countries, there was more emphasis on fasting than in the West. Some Scandinavians would fast 1 day a week or 3 days a month for their health. Also, their medical practice was based more on a preventive regimen than on a fix-it-after-the-problem regimen. I have an auto mechanic that works on my automobiles who's very honest. Sometimes he does not even charge me. Other times he will say, "You don't need that." And many times he's told me things that I should do to prevent mechanical failures, whereas he could have not mentioned those things and waited until something broke and then charged me for it. Today I want to tell you how to prevent stress from happening in your life, how to protect yourself from stress. In Job chapter 3, verse 26, we read, "I am not at ease, neither am I quiet, neither have I rest, but trouble comes." I have a mini teaching on Job, which you can see at Healing Through Proper Mental Attitude. The link is in the show notes of this podcast. But pertinent to this teaching today, I want to emphasize that Job in this situation, before he was healed, was number 1, not at ease, number 2, disquieted, number 3, restless, and number 4, troubled. Proverb 27:12 tells us, "A prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences." I have done lots of investing through the years by day trading and investing in commodities and futures where I operated with large margins for the advantage of leverage. Of course, if the trades went south, why, the margins worked to my disadvantage. But here today, I want to illustrate the good use of margins. The definition of margin is an amount available beyond what is actually needed. One source describes margin as the space between our current load and our limits. Let me give you some of the results when you don't have proper margin in your life. Number 1, stress goes up. Number 2, focus narrows. Number 3, relationships suffer, usually because of a lack of margin in time. And number 4, you're not prepared for the future. Notice this, relationships only start or are nourished during margin. In Luke chapter 17, verse 1, in the Brit Hadashah, Messiah Yeshua taught us, "Things that cause people to stumble are bound to come." This is where margin can be a buffer to protect you from stress. Let me talk to you about how you can develop margin. Number 1, slow down. Number 2, simplify things in your life. Simplify activities. Simplify stuff. Simplify technology. Number 3, allow for and establish time, money, work, and relationship margins. Let me repeat that. Allow for and establish time margins, money margins, work margins, and relationship margins. The time margin is one of the easiest to fix, but at the same time, the one we prioritize least when planning. Messiah was asked the question, "Rabbi, which is the greatest commandment in Torah?" Yeshua answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. Mashiach said all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. Love provides, it leads the way for margin. However, the mechanics of margin are maintained during Sabbath, Shabbat, the day of rest. The mechanics of margin, such as the need for it, the desire for it, and the how-to plans for it, are inculcated during the day of rest with God. When we're enjoying our day of rest with God, we realize that we need to plan margins for time and for our family, for our finances, for our work. We see the need for margins, and we develop a desire for it. However, if we're not taking our day of rest with God and enjoying that time with Him, we won't be dwelling on these matters. We won't realize what a restful time that we can have when we plan properly. When the 6 work days force out the 7th rest day, we begin to think that everything is like that, and we aren't sensitized to what rest can be like. Also, during the day of rest, there are 2 promised blessings shown in Ishawahu, the prophet Isaiah, chapter 58. Number 1, you will ride on the high places of the earth. And number 2, you will feed on the heritage of Yaakov, or Jacob, your father. In other words, you will be, number 1, above and in control of the events in your life with heights of enjoyment, and number 2, you will be prosperous, healthy, and fruitful. My friend, start establishing margins in your family, your finances, and in your field of endeavor. This has been your friend, Prince Handley, coming to you with 100,000 watts of pure healing love. Baruch haba b'Shem Adonai.